Most golfers over 60 assume their swing is falling apart. They watch their ball flight shorten, their accuracy waver, and their consistency disappear. And they conclude the problem is technique. The research tells a different story. Distance and consistency loss after 60 is overwhelmingly driven by mobility, rotation, and balance, not the mechanics of the swing itself. Before we get into it, if you want the complete guide to buying the right equipment for your exact swing speed and handicap, the link will be in the comment section below. Subscribe now so you do not miss the next one. The real cause is mobility, not mechanics. Green Card Golf's senior distance research states it directly. Distance loss is primarily driven by a reduction in fast twitch muscle fiber and flexibility, which lowers club head speed, not by some abstract notion of simply getting older. HackMotion's senior distance guide confirms the same mechanism from a different angle, stating that distance doesn't drop because you're getting older. It changes because mobility decreases, rotational speed slows, and wrist mechanics become harder to control. This distinction matters enormously for how a senior golfer should actually respond. A golfer who believes their swing is broken tries to fix their swing, taking lessons, rebuilding their mechanics, chasing a technical flaw that may not exist. A golfer who understands the real cause works on the body instead, and the data confirms that approach pays off. HackMotion's research found that most seniors can regain 10 to 20 yards simply through better efficiency, smarter setup, and improved wrist release without rebuilding their swing at all. The joints that actually run the golf swing high bar. Health's clinical research on senior golfers explains exactly which body parts the swing depends on. Coordinated rotation through the hips and upper back, enough shoulder motion to get the club in position, and enough lower body control to stay centered throughout the swing. When those areas tighten, the body compensates by borrowing motion from the wrong place. Clinically, this shows up most often as extra twisting through the lower back in a steeper, more arms-driven swing, a pattern that looks like a swing fault but is actually a mobility deficit wearing a swing fault's costume. Berman Physical Therapy's research on golfers in their 60s and 70s confirms the same pattern from a rehabilitation perspective. As we age, muscles and joints naturally lose their ability to stretch and contract fully. And this is particularly impactful in golf because the sport requires such a wide range of motion. Stiff muscles or tight joints in the hips, back, and shoulders directly limit a golfer's ability to rotate fully during the swing, leading to shorter, less accurate shots, not because the golfer forgot how to swing a club, but because their body can no longer physically complete the same rotation it once did. Balance is declining quietly in the background. Performance Golf's research on senior-specific training identifies a factor most golfers never think about: balance. As mobility declines, swings become shorter and more restricted, leading to loss of distance and accuracy, and balance naturally declines with age, increasing the risk of swaying, loss of control, and even falls during the swing itself. A stable lower body is vital for consistent weight transfer and accuracy, and that stability is precisely what erodes first and most quietly as golfers move through their 60s and 70s. A golfer who sways during the backswing or loses their base during the downswing is not making a swing decision. They are compensating for a balance deficit that has nothing to do with how well they understand the golf swing, and everything to do with physical changes most golfers never connect to their scorecard. Medical conditions compound the problem silently. Published research in the International Journal of Golf Science confirms that conditions like osteoarthritis and low back pain in senior golfers measurably reduce flexibility, strength, and muscular endurance, all three of which are required for an efficient, repeatable golf swing. The same research found that golfers managing these conditions showed an increased reliance on motorized carts and shifted their practice focus away from their long game entirely, a behavioral adaptation that compounds the physical one. This is the layer most golf instruction never addresses. A golfer dealing with early-stage osteoarthritis in the hips is not failing to execute a swing thought. Their joint physically cannot complete the range of motion the swing thought requires, regardless of how many lessons they take or how many times they watch their own swing on video. Why swinging harder makes everything worse? Green Card Golf's research identifies the single most common mistake senior golfers make in response to declining distance, trying to swing harder to compensate for lost yardage. This consistently leads to tension and inefficiency, rather than recovered distance, because the body is fighting against itself rather than working within its actual current capability. A tense, forced swing produces worse contact, not better distance, compounding the original problem instead of solving it. The better path, confirmed across multiple sources, is working on rotational mobility directly. Green Card Golf recommends targeted hip and thoracic spine mobility exercises and practicing a fuller turn to maximize stored energy, along with simple setup adjustments like a wider stance and a slightly flared lead foot to increase rotation and leverage without requiring additional raw strength. What this means for your equipment too high. Bar Health's physical therapy research connects this directly to equipment selection, noting that clubs which ask the body to work harder than necessary compound the problem on every single swing. A shaft that is too stiff often leads golfers to swing harder than their body can comfortably tolerate, which feeds directly into the same tension and inefficiency cycle that Green Card Golf identified. The stated goal from a physical therapy standpoint is straightforward. Reduce the force your joints have to create, reduce the vibration they have to absorb, and make solid contact easier to repeat when mobility or strength is not what it was 10 years ago. Equipment that matches your actual current mobility and rotational capacity is not a compromise. It is the same principle as fitting a shoe to the foot you actually have, rather than the foot you had 20 years ago. The swing most senior golfers think is broken was never the real problem. Mobility, rotation, balance, and joint health are the actual variables driving the decline, and every one of them responds to targeted work, smarter equipment, or both. Chasing a technical swing fix for a physical limitation wastes time and produces frustration that has nothing to do with a lack of golfing knowledge. What have you noticed changing in your game as you've gotten older? Drop it in the comments. Subscribe. We follow the data, not the assumptions.